News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Unfortunately, the news has gotten worse with Russia and Ukraine. We have a president who was being screamed at today as he passed by the press. They were literally screaming at him. They had one-word questions on big signs because they're just dying to get anything, and they were even yelling, I heard today, Mr. President, we haven't heard views on this whole trip that you made. Where remember when he walked into the bushes and got lost? He doesn't care. He didn't answer. That's fine. That's who we've known that for almost 4 years now. But so what happened today in response to Joe Biden unleashing, I guess the least we can say is today he didn't unleash more weapons that he refused to give for 3 years. It's only a matter of time, though. So, as you know, he allowed the ATACMS missile systems to be long-range missiles to be fired into Russia for the first time 2 days ago. They have a 190-mile range. Then, late yesterday, he announced, stunningly, that after 3 years, he was now going to allow anti-personnel mines, landmines, to be shipped to and used by Ukraine against Russia. And yesterday, we also found out that the Storm Shadow, the British Storm Shadow missiles, were being allowed to be used inside of Russia for the first time. They go about 155 miles deep into Russia. So those have been being fired for 2 days. Then Russia responded today with the biggest missile ever shot in this war. They unleashed a ballistic missile. Now, Ukraine called it an ICBM. It is indeed a ballistic missile, and it is indeed a long-range missile. It is actually the kind that can have a nuclear warhead on it. That has not been done until today. That is the most dangerous, deadliest missile to be shot. And that was today. This is, of course, in response to this continued upgrading of attacks deep into Russia allowed by the U.S. and then Britain and France. So today we also find out some other stuff. You may not have caught this. A senior North Korean general today was wounded in a recent Ukrainian strike. This from the Wall Street Journal. This happened in Russia's Kursk region today. First time they've had a high-ranking North Korean military officer a casualty in this Russia-Ukraine conflict. When you have generals being wounded in battle that are not from that area, you have a problem. And that's because of Joe Biden. When you have Russia launching ballistic missiles that can carry nuclear warheads on them, that's a problem. So that's where we're at. And then, what's his name? Zelenskyy. He said, obviously Putin is using Ukraine as testing ground. He was trying to scare us. Zelenskyy said, he's testing you. He's testing us. Vladimir Zelenskyy is like the child who's crying wolf and pointing, get him. But it'll be our butts on the line. He's the last person we should listen to. So we're moving closer to World War III. And when you hear people like Martha McCallum today on Fox on the 5, I like her show a lot, actually, during the day. And she said today that we are closer to World War III right now than we ever have been before. That's when you really, 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 really know we're really on the precipice of World War III. Because what did I tell you yesterday? What have I told you for days? War is begun by mistakes. And we are one simple little mistake away from World War III. I mean, imagine what crazed dictator Kim Jong-un will decide to do, hearing that one of his generals has been wounded. What could he do? He's a nuclear nation, too. And the only thing holding him back from doing crazed things with his nuclear weapons or with his army is China. He is the little redheaded stepchild, so he is starved, and his people are dead in the water without China. So China's the only thing controlling that dog on a leash. All right, so here's my questions for you. With Putin now launching an ICBM capable of carrying a nuclear warhead on it, is Putin blustering? Do you think he already knows? Because I had one of my buddies said this today, made me think a little bit. Do you think he already knows that a Trump deal is coming? Like somebody said to me today, Trump knows, Trump and Putin know a deal is coming. They're working on it. So he's just blustering. So is Putin blustering? I mean, do you actually think he already knows Trump's got a deal coming? And do you think both sides, Zelenskyy and Putin, both know that Trump's working a deal out with them? And they're both just blustering back and forth, knowing this is coming to an end soon? Because I don't think so. I think that might be what's on the table, but I think that might not happen. And I think the reason it might not happen is because we have 7 freaking long weeks. We have almost 2 full months. And every day things are happening, aren't they? First, it's letting missiles be shot inside of Russia. The next day, it's even more missiles being shot inside of Russia and landmines. And then the next day after that, it's Russia shooting a ballistic missile capable of carrying nuclear warheads. What's tomorrow? I mean, every day there's been action, guys. So what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen in a week? And I'm not trying to run around with my hair on fire. I'm just saying this is not good. It's not like we have a week left here. This is bad. And war has begun by mistakes. So do you think Putin's blustering? Do you think he already knows Trump's got a deal coming? Do you think both sides know this and just want to bluster back and forth knowing it's coming to an end soon? And do you feel today's latest events are indeed bringing us closer to a wider war or even a World War III? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. We got time to pop you on. Call in right now. 800-288-9227. So these ballistic missile, or the ballistic missile that was shot into the city of Dnipro Thursday morning, early this morning, fired from Russia, and it went 650 miles from where, it was launched and hit 650 miles away. This is some serious stuff. And it was a conventional warhead, not a nuclear one, but dang, it can carry one. So Zelenskyy said Putin's obviously using Ukraine as a testing ground. Putin's terrified when normal life simply exists next to him. Dude, would you please? Hey, don't you want to listen to me? Come on. Hold my leg. Kiss my ring. Come on. I'm so cool. Look at me. I'm on the cover of a magazine. Oh, I'm so sick of this guy. How about you? Thursday's launch came as part of Russian barrage that included almost a dozen ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. Kyiv said it shot down 6. 2 people wounded, several buildings, including an industrial facility, damaged in Dnipro, a city of 1 million people. So there you go. Some serious missiles being fired and landing in a city of 1 million. The Korean general, that's pretty interesting. So, and that's pretty scary. And it was Joe Biden that put this together. It was Joe Biden that pushed all this together. Joe Biden brought China and Russia together for the first time ever. And people have said for years that know what they're talking about with this kind of stuff, that if those two ever come together, we're in a world of trouble. And that's what Joe Biden has done in 4 years. And so, I mean, thank God this is ending here in 7 weeks, but I do seriously, I'm very, very concerned, and I think we all should be, that these next 7 weeks could get us into a war. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I want to give you more information about the kind of missile that was shot and more about the North Korean general that was wounded and what we could expect out of that coming up next. But then I also want to tell you something. I had a wild thing happen in front of my house today, and it wasn't me. My neighbors were thinking it was me. There were 5 cop cars and 7 cops late this afternoon in front of my house. But it wasn't for me. It was for a house in the neighborhood. I'm going to tell you what that was all about. And wow. It has to do with squatters. So if you've ever gone through something like that or had to deal with that in your neighborhood, or you've seen it, or you've had to fight them, or maybe you're with one of these rental companies or something, holy cow. So, and that neighbors in my area had been saying stuff. We communicate well. We're pretty tight knit and good, which is extremely important. So we've been talking about this. Finally, it was brought to my attention, so I was the one that made a call. And the next day, you know what? Bad boys. So it was pretty wild. We'll get into that afterwards. But I want to talk about this World War III precipice that we stand on. Coming up next, your call. 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. The rockets fired ICBMs or IRBM, intermediate range ballistic missile, can carry warheads, and they are known as MIRVs, capable of striking targets independently to limit the number of launches needed to cause maximum damage. Using that against Ukraine, they claim in the Wall Street Journal, makes little sense militarily at this stage of the war. Weapons have ranges of thousands of miles, definitely exceeding the ATACMS that we are now allowing them to use against Russia, whether we like it or not. Joe Biden has let them in. Hey, you got 7 weeks left. I want to start a world war. Why the hell haven't we done this for 3 years? Get that war going. You know, the idea that he's doing this to make Trump to make a real mess for Trump is making more sense. But remember, he is really freaking stupid. And remember, Bob Gates was right when he wrote in his book, way before Joe ever ran for president this time, or won, that he's been wrong in every single international policy issue for 40 years straight. Now it's been 50 years. This guy's, he's like, I'm so awesome. He's like, he looked up his name yet. Sam the Eagle, the blue eagle in Muppets, who was the news guy, and he stoically looking at, I'm so awesome, I'm so smart. That's him looking out of the Oval Office on the White House lawn. I am so dang smart. Hold my beer. Let's start World War III. Don't discount that possibility. Is Putin blustering, or do you think he already knows that there's a Trump? Do you think he already knows Trump has a deal coming with him? And do both sides on Ukraine and Russia side know that they just are blustering back and forth and know this is coming to an end soon? Or is it going to be possibly World War III? Is it coming to that right now? Are we moving closer to that each day? As I do think the last 2 days in a row, we're moving right towards it, unfortunately. 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Let's go to Joe in Grapevine. Joe, hello. You're on WBAP.
Chris.
Hi.
I completely agree with you, my friend. The way you put it, I think that this president knows that everything you just said. I think he's trying to create problems for Trump. And I've listened to other people on this station, and they brought up a good point as well, that he's been compromised. I think he has been compromised. We know he's been compromised by the information that's come out. And they know that not only is Biden on the hot seat, but his family from taking millions of dollars. We have bank records. And Zelenskyy knows. Putin probably knows. He's talked to both of them. Chris, I think you're right. I mean, and just think about how terrible this is. Has any of I don't know if any of our senators or anybody on his side spoke out about this. Has there been any comments? Has anybody in the international community spoke negatively that maybe we shouldn't be going down this road? Do you know if anyone has said this?
I've not seen anything, but I can only imagine others. I'm sure Viktor Orban in Hungary probably is very strongly against what Joe Biden's doing. But the people of Europe are going along with this. I mean, you saw the UK and France say, absolutely, now we're going to turn the Storm Shadows against them too. Here you go, use them. And so that happened the next day. So I think this is a decision by Joe and his friends who, hate Trump. And I think he's leading them and us into a world war. So I think that the people that are super, Ukraine's a threat, they're going to come after all of us, are joining him and following him. And I think they're so stupid, and they don't realize what they're doing could lead us to a world war.
You think maybe Biden is trying to make himself look good and go out as he was a peacemaker?
I think he thinks he's so awesome and smart, and either that or he is trying to leave Trump a mess. Those are my only two deductions. I appreciate your call, Joe. Let's go to Daniel. Daniel, WBAP. What's up?
Hey, Chris. How you doing, brother?
All right, brother.
Number one is I do agree with you. The powers that be, it ain't Biden, because Biden can't think his way through anything right now, are trying to create a mess for Trump. But for Martha McCallum to say that we're closer to World War III than we've ever been, like compared to the Cuban Missile Crisis, that's just insane.
Yeah.
The thing I want to know is, so if we're could things escalate? Absolutely. Could it create a mess? Yes. So who are the countries that are going to jump in and go to world war over Ukraine?
Well, I don't know, but I'm not interested in going to world war over them. Yeah. But, as I said earlier, war has begun by mistakes. And, in 3 days, we've gone from allowing ATACMS to then allowing anti-personnel landmines to then allowing storm shadows to then retaliating with ICBM or IRBM that can carry nuclear warheads being launched, a 650-mile launch into Dnipro, a city of a million today in Ukraine. So what's tomorrow? What's tonight?
My point is this, Chris. I don't think that, number one is, and then maybe I'm alone on this, I don't really care what happens to Ukraine that much. I really don't. And
I'm so done. Yeah.
I don't think that Putin wants to start a world war. And I'll go out on a limb and say I think if Putin dropped a small to medium nuke on them, I still don't think the rest of the world's going to come to Ukraine's aid to start a world war. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think they would, because of the fact that and it wouldn't just become a world war immediately, but I think they would because the nuclear fallout will go through Europe and it'll...
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah. I got to roll, but I appreciate your call, my friend.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Daniel. Jim in Louisville, you're coming up next. I hate to usher in World War III, but it sure feels like we are, and I think Jim feels the same way in Louisville. Plus your call coming up next on the Chris Crock Show at News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. More information on that general, the wounded North Korean general today that happened in the Ukraine strike. This kind of stuff happening, it ain't good. I mean, this is not good. That is coming up next, and then after that, we'll get into why were 7 cops and 5 squads over in front of my house today, and all my neighbors and I were out and working on a house nearby. What was going on over there? It was squatters. Have you ever dealt with that? We'll talk about that coming up on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. All right. A senior officer from Pyongyang, North Korean, in their military, Colonel General Kim Yuk-mok, to Russia to oversee the North Korean effort. And he's not the one. Well, he could be the one that was wounded. I don't know which one it was. All we know is that a senior North Korean general was wounded in a recent Ukrainian strike. Wow. That and Russia firing a ballistic missile 650 miles capable of carrying a warhead, a nuclear warhead, has hit Dnipro, a city of a million in Ukraine today. So this is not calming down. It is getting worse, unfortunately. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. In just a minute or two, we're going to talk about squatters arrested in my neighborhood, and it's not the whole thing isn't over still, but I'll tell you all about that today. It was quite a scene in front of our household area there, our neighborhood. If you've dealt with squatters and such, get ready. We're going to be talking about that. Would love to hear from you. But first, is Putin blustering? Do you think he already knows Trump has a deal coming? And do you think both sides know this, Ukraine and Putin, and they're just wanting to bluster back and forth, knowing this is coming to an end soon? I don't think so. I think this is continuing to get out of hand and could end up going into a wider war, like a World War III. I hate to say it. Do you feel today's events are actually bringing us closer to a wider war or a World War III? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. All right, let's talk to Jim in Louisville. Jim, you're on WBAP. Hello.
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 Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yes, hello.
Yes, I'm here. Are you there?
Yes, hello.
Oh, okay. I have a prediction.
Okay.
I think it is going to get close, but everything has a cliffhanger, right? And
yes.
It's going to go, and when Trump comes in, he gets to be the hero. So they'll crap on themselves again by making him a hero, which is a good thing. And I'm not looking forward to that, but I think it's going to get scary, and if we make it through December, right?
I don't know, though. I still feel like this could still go the wrong way, and Biden is just such an idiot. I can't tell if he's trying to screw things up for Trump and make it worse, or if he's just such an idiot. The only thing that's changed between a couple months ago and now is that Trump won. And so I can't tell if I don't know if he's trying to make up for all of his indecisiveness to let it unleash, or if he's trying to leave a mess for Trump, or if he actually wants to.
I think he's trying to make a mess for Trump, but like it always happens, Trump's going to fix it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but not if he messes this up enough where it turns into a wider war, like a world war.
Got to write that part out.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate your call. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. This is how this unfolded. I love this. We have several ladies, all our friends of ours, good friends of ours in the neighborhood. Everybody sees stuff going on for a week or two. Nobody wants to call the cops. All I know is I know nothing. All I know is, and my son's like, yeah, I feel bad. I should have said something like a week ago when I saw something going on, which I'll tell you in a little bit. All I know is yesterday I am pausing my show prep in the mid-afternoon, late afternoon, whatever it is, around 4 o'clock, and I'm getting some stuff together in the kitchen to be able to eat some stuff. And my wife's friend comes to the doorbell, one of our neighbors, and she comes in. And then I have two ladies in my kitchen telling me, my wife and our neighbor, who, again, we are very close with all these folks I'm talking about. I'm just picking on them a little bit, I guess. And we have them telling me in my kitchen, yeah, we think there's some squatters across the street. Wow. Okay, well, let me call the police. No. I'm not going to call 911. Let me go, no! My wife, we don't know. I'm like, hey. And then I'm like, fine, give me the place that is, it's one of these conglomerate, massive places. And just because you live in $1 million house does not mean you don't have one of these buying up houses in your neighborhood, too. They're doing all this everywhere. Lower, working class, middle class, upper middle class, and even higher. These massive conglomerates, I hate them. They are, I think they're 40 or 50% of every new home purchase in Fort Worth. These son of a bleeps, I hate them so much. We need to ban them in Texas, or we need to limit them, saying in every city you can only own 10% of the housing. I mean, this is out of, it's causing inflation. It's causing unavailability for homes. You know what I mean? It's driving up the demand because there's less homes on the market. So one of those bleepity bleeps bought a house by us, and I've told you this, they're charging $1,000, more than $1,000 that I pay for my mortgage. They blew it up, made it all beautiful inside, and now they're charging way more than they should, but that's okay. So that's when we really knew. She's like, anyways, and then I hear that one of them was saying to the other outside, do you have, well, then take an Uber. I don't have any money for an Uber. I'm like, okay, if they don't have any money for an Uber and they're being told to take the bus, they can't afford this house. They can't afford any house in our neighborhood. I'm like, let me call the freaking cop. No. So I said, fine, give me the number of this place that's got, because it's listed to be rented. And so, fine, they give that to me. I call this number, and these people are SOBs because I call the number. Oh, you got to hit this button so we can text you. Or I'm like, I don't want to be one of your customers. I'm trying to freaking I'm trying to help you and help us. I leave a message on it's a freaking tree to get through, as if I'm trying to call Goltar, the keymaster. And so I get a voicemail, and I leave one. I said, hi. It was an impersonal, like, hello, we are a machine. Leave a message. So I leave a message and say, hi, this is the address you guys have for rental. And if it hasn't rented, there's squatters in there. And could somebody please call me back? I'd like to tell you what's going on. Nobody calls me back. I'm in there this afternoon. Oh, there's 5 cop cars out in front of my house and 7 cops like they're going to do a raid. I'm like, holy crap. I had neighbors calling me, every other neighbor. Oh, Chris, what's going on? I'm like, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be getting ready for my show, but I'm like, well, okay. And then I'm being told by my neighbor, they want your body camera. I kept saying body cameras. I'm like, there's like 7 cops out there. They want my camera video footage, and because they're right in our area there somewhere, and. So I'm looking, I get it, and I go out there, I talk to them, and then it becomes a security issue. If people are squatting in that house, which they are they wanted for murder? Are they one of Joe Biden's illegals that are proving that there's a proving that murdered 23 people that's here that they just caught, and they let them in? They let them in first. There's child rapists that Joe Biden lets in and Kamala lets in. We talk about it every day, right? So I don't know if there's a murderer, child molester, drug dealer, who knows what across the street from us. And so that was my big concern. Anyway, we find out that there's at least 4 people that they're outside, they're doing background. 2 or 3 of them got arrested. They got warrants. See? And they've been in there for a week and a half. My son saw them come in and the garbage bags almost moving in with like a U-Haul or something. I'm like, yeah. Oh, I should have said, I'm not, what am I going to yell at my kid? I'm like, yeah, you should have. You know, it's called see something, say something. So, yeah, there could be a child molester living in there that doesn't want to let anybody know. And there's a school within 1,000 feet of where we're at, too. So it's like, I mean, this is all sorts of implications. I got a beautiful daughter who could get assaulted. People in my house, even when I've told them a million times, you got to keep these doors, windows locked, except for, all this stuff. So I'm like, okay. So they arrested 2 or 3 of them. They claim they got scammed and they have a contract. It's all BS. I don't think none of us believe it. So anyways, I want to know how you've dealt with this. And there's still people in there. They believe there's a large German Shepherd inside in the garage. They had 2 other dogs in there. Think of this. And they got like a ringleader lady. So, and then one of the guys I saw yesterday dressed like a Thug Thistle guy. He's not even in any of the people that were out in the front lawn being questioned and done background checks, and they were doing different ththings like intox, whatever, intox, or we call it, put your hands out, let me see you move your hands around like your, DWI type thing. They weren't driving, they have no car. I'm like, dude, if they can't afford a freaking Uber and they don't have a car, they're squatters. So anyways, meanwhile, one of my neighbors who's elderly, and she knows everything like before anybody does, she's been saying stuff to my wife for a week. I'm like, why doesn't anybody tell me? And so I am the one that calls. I don't care. I'm calling. I'm the one who's like, I read stuff every day with what we do here. I see crap every day. I'm like, holy crap. My wife's like, don't scare our daughter. I'm like, you know what? That's just how I am. I'm not like, you're going to die. I just tell her, look, keep everything locked. We don't know if that's a rapist across the street. I mean, what do you want me to say? Oh, it's probably the new person that's been sainted by the Catholic Church across from the street. It's St. George Fentanyl's brother, blessed be his name. Yeah, is he going to rob us too, like he did the pregnant lady? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I could have felons or whatever. There's people in the house. The cops went in there a little bit, but they didn't sweep it well. So there's definitely one or two other people out there in there. We don't know how many are in there. And they're asking almost $3,000 just for rent every month to live in that house. I mean, isn't that insane? $3,000? I'm like, holy gosh. But it's a nice large place. So anyways, that's that. And so here's my questions for you. I'll think of some more things too. Boy, I talked to a lot of cops today. I went through all my video and I showed them certain things. I'm like, yeah, this guy right here on this one, he's not one of those people out there on the lawn that you guys are arresting and are doing background checks on. So what's your experience with squatters been like? How have you seen it happen? How have you gotten rid of them? What's your advice for protecting your neighborhood and homes from squatters? Or it doesn't have to be squatters. It could be for criminals or the like. 800-288-WBAP is our number. I'd love to hear from your interactions. 800-288-9227. One of the biggest things I'll talk about coming up next is all the neighbors that we are connected to and all the neighbors that we talked to and that we were coming out and people are afraid of this. I'm like, come on, let's go. The more of us that are out there and the more cops that are out there, these people are seeing this crap ain't going to fly in our neighborhood. You know, there's little ones at multiple houses in this area. I mean, this crap ain't flying. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Whether it's squatters or criminal activity, how have you banded together? How have you stopped it? What have you done to try to get this crap out? And by the way, there are no short-term rentals. Those things are like having cancer up the butt. No thank you on any of that crap. None of it. You know what I'm saying? I despise this stuff. I guess it's time for me to stop, and we'll come right back, all right? Yeah. My producer's looking at me like, okay, great, let's stop. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. I'll share more and on how the neighbors and I were talking and working stuff out and et cetera. I'm the point man. I'm the guy. I'm the fall guy. Come for me. All right, in the neighborhood. I'm not complaining. I'm just being funny, I guess. 800-288-WBAP, and we'll continue with this and your calls coming up next. Lines wide open. What an experience. Everybody's seeing things and talking about it, but nobody's calling the cops or calling whoever owns the house up. There is strength in neighbors working together and knowing each other. And I had neighbors from almost every side come over and talk. I waved them over. And when you see a young lady who is precious to us, her and her husband and their little ones in our neighborhood, 4 houses down, when you see one of our friends who's a little younger than us with a teenager, and then our friends with other little ones that are in their 4 to 8 years old or something of that nature next door, we all come out, we're talking, and that's important. And then a young man whose mom owns the house, he rents it from her, 2 down and stuff. So it's good because we all come out. And when we come out and we're talking, and there's like 7 cops out there, and they're talking to these people, and they're, seeing squatters. By the way, they went in they appear based on what my son told me to have snuck in, moved in, and then changed the locks. Isn't that great? There's no lockbox on the house. This can happen anywhere. How did you handle this? How do you deal with this? Or crime? How do you get it out of your neighborhood? I told everybody, though, you got my number, you got my wife's number for some of the ladies, and I said, just everything comes to me. I talked to the guy who's in charge of management of that house directly, and I got his info. We texted. So now I said, please share everything with me, and I'll share everything with you. And he's like, absolutely. There's a whole process, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that he's told me he's going through. But Philip in Temple's calling in. Philip, hello. You're on WBAP. You called in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. What's up, WBAP?
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
I'll be trying to just follow about the ball here. There's several thoughts, but number one is that it goes completely crazy once we start communicating. Then we see that everybody is pretty much thinking the same thing, but no one says anything.
Yes.
Because the left, they got us just where they want us. We're so politically correct that we don't say anything, and if we do, we're racist. But we let them go in there. But think back to when you were a kid, and through your teens and stuff. Mm-hmm. We had communities, we had neighborhoods. You knew your neighbors. Right. Lines were open, but how many places have you lived since you were a kid where you can't even see into people's houses, meaning that, you're peeping Tom. It's just that the blinds always closed. They pull into the garage. You never communicate. They don't come over with a pie or a dessert and welcome you to the neighborhood. You don't know anybody, so there's no communication. But that's exactly why. What is that saying they have? Separate and or divide and conquer. That's
yes.
What see, we live in fear, but once we start communicating, we see that we're all thinking the same thing.
Crime flourishes. Crime flourishes where neighbors aren't tight.
It's like the only thing for evil to rise, you see, is for good men to do nothing. Well, the only thing for crime to see is for not to say anything. And
right.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. I get so annoyed, and I'm like, I said to my wife, I said, well, why am I hearing? The first I heard of it was yesterday, and then 5 minutes or 3 minutes later, I was on the phone, calling somebody, and my wife put the cuffs on me. No, you can't call the police. I'm like, really? So that was yesterday. Today there's 7 of them outside. So I'm like, hello.
I've got a term that I came up with. It's called social loafing. Say you're in a concert environment or some outdoor festival. Somebody falls down or someone's over. Well, you look at everybody thinks that somebody else is going to help them. So and we're living in this community where nobody gets involved. When I was living in Sweden, what was it? Oh, I got on a bus coming home from Stockholm back to about an hour's drive out of Stockholm, and it was so hot on that bus. I was sweating. I could see everybody was uncomfortable, but nobody would do anything. So after 20 minutes, I finally got up and went to the bus driver and said, I was saying,
turn on the air.
Turn on the air, yeah. I get an applaud.
Yeah, turn on the Flukenhaven or whatever it's called.
Everybody was thinking the same thing, but nobody says anything.
Turn on the Schwitzel. I got to roll, brother, but thank you for your call. That's exactly right. All it takes for one person to grow up here and do something. All right, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, Biden administration loosening immigration policies. He's doing everything to destroy this country and launch World War III and more. Right before Trump takes office, letting more illegals in. Veterans money. Many of you have been saying, well, I don't want these big camps for illegals. I want that to go to veterans. Well, guess what? They're using veterans money for the illegals already. That came out today. And all these mayors, these sanctuary city mayors, are saying, we're not going to cooperate. We're not going to get violent illegals out of here. All that's coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, and I'm going to talk about it with you. And I wonder if this might change your mind. Some of these people don't want these mega camps in Texas happening for these illegals. Maybe it'll change your mind to hear that veterans' money, Biden has taken that and used it for illegals. All that next on the Chris Crock Show at 3 minutes after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM 93.3.